So, as some of you may know, I recently got an S rank on every daytime stage in Sonic Unleashed, or in this case, Unleashed Recompiled. The recompilation gave me a great reason to revisit the game, and S ranking every stage was the only thing I could think of to spice things up. So that I did, and I had a great time doing it. But I purposely didn't do the DLC stages, pretty much because it was going to take too long, so my plan was just to ignore them and continue on with the Werehog stages. But to my surprise, a lot of people wanted to see the DLC stages, even more so than the Werehog ones. But what's so special about these DLC stages that makes them so much more interesting? Well, apparently, the DLC stages are super difficult and miserable to get through, putting the base game to shame. With that kind of reputation, getting S ranks in the DLC will be way harder than last time. So logically, after hearing this, I took it upon myself to S rank these stages as well. So today, I'm going to once again share with you my not so borderline miserable experience that I somehow enjoyed getting all of the S ranks in the daytime DLC stages in Sonic Unleashed. Subscribe. Getting S ranks in the DLC stages are no different from the base game. It's all in the score. Your score goes up with every enemy you beat, how many rings you have, other things like quick time events or rainbow rings, and of course, your time. Pretty much, beat every enemy you see, don't get hit, and be fast. But you may as well forget about the fast part because you'll rarely be boosting for any meaningful amount of time for some of these levels. Which leads me to Windmill Isle Act 1-2, our first stage. And wow, you can immediately tell you're in for something different. If you're confused about the 1-2 thing, whenever there's a dash in the act number, it just means it's a harder version of its base game stage. That being said, yeah, it's definitely harder, and built weirdly. Something you'll notice with every DLC stage is how they completely throw aesthetics out the window and just shove a bunch of hazards and enemies onto a stage with only gameplay in mind. At first it just looked weird, which it still does, but you get used to it. The cool thing about Act 1-2 is that it has you start from the end of the original stage and makes you loop all the way around to also finish at the end of the stage, which is now the beginning of the stage, whatever, you get it. To S rank this level, you just have to take your time and analyze what's ahead of you before rushing into things. Yeah, I'll be saying that a lot throughout this video. If you have any experience with platformers, this level shouldn't give you too much trouble. You just have to platform. Our very first S rank of many to come. Ooh, a new stage? Bro. See this? Windmill Isle Act 2-2 is again another base game harder version level. This is where the DLC starts to show its true colors. Spikes are placed everywhere in places you'd never expect and can make your life miserable if you're not paying attention. But other than that, the stage is mostly the same. Hug the left side of the wall like usual, be attentive for surprise ring trails and rainbow rings, and you should be good. I still got caught lacking twice by some spikes and got the S rank anyway. Windmill Isle Act 4 is honestly really fun. The level has you constantly quick-stepping to avoid the very frequent hazards, and everything just feels super satisfying to pull off once you actually get the hang of things. I recommend you take a slow and careful test run of the stage before you try and S rank it, because if you don't, you'll be taking a lot of things straight to the face. Just don't miss this ring trail, boost before hitting this ramp, kill this bullet guy as soon as you can, and S rank. That's all for a Potos. Okay, please, just come on. Just get me out of here. Get me out of here, please. Oh no! We're in Missouri now, with no drifting stage in sight, and Savannah Citadel Act 1-2 isn't very different from the original. Just avoid the many spike balls, take it slow in this section if you need to, and press extra square here as fast as you can since you have an extremely short window for input. Make sure you also bounce on this pole to reach its top path, and S rank. Yes. Savannah Citadel Act 3-2 has you collecting a lot of rings throughout this big loop of a stage. The level says you only need 300 rings to clear, but trust me, try and get every ring in the level if you want that S rank. I recommend you do a full loop of each elevation, collecting each ring you can before moving up. In case you're confused, like I was, to actually get to the goal ring, you can either use this spring down here, or get to a secret spring up in these trees. I personally had to get 489 rings to see that shiny S, but maybe you don't need that many, I don't really know. Just try and be quick. Savannah Citadel Act 4 is a 2D level that has you solving puzzles and doing some good old platforming. That would have been all there was to this level, but no. I ran into a pretty big roadblock. A roadblock I'll run into a few more times throughout the video, so I'll just explain it now. Every time I would use this speed pad at the beginning of the level, I would uncontrollably fly straight into some fire. No matter what I did, it always happened. So I just thought it was normal. Until I did everything I could to optimize my runs and only found myself with A ranks. So then I thought of a comment I got on the last video explaining an FPS issue with the recompilation. Since Sonic Unleashed was intended to be played at 30 FPS, the whole game was built around that fact. So when increasing the frame rate, certain sections with automation are prolonged and it becomes harder to perform certain shortcuts. In this case, for example, it prolongs the automation to the point where I can't move out of the fire's way. So I turned down my FPS, which fixed the issue, played the level like I normally would, and got my S rank. Savannah Citadel Act 5 sees the return of the stupid robots. If you S rank the base game, these robot sections should be like second nature. I still got hit though. But after the robots, you actually have to play the game and do some platforming. Just look ahead of you and be careful. But then, after that, suddenly, the big robot guy comes back, and everything feels weird because there's kind of more than 3 lanes, but not really, so you just get hit a couple more times. But then you do some more platforming, and then you accidentally get an S rank on your first try. Bye bye, Missouri. Yikes, we're back in Holoska. Cool Edge Act 1-2 is where the game goes full f you mode. There's always something in your face during this level. Spikes, bombs, bullets. This is the point in the DLC where I started to lose my cool. Edge. This is in no way an improvement over the original, unless you have a soft spot for spiky purple icicle balls. Seriously, they're just placed everywhere. There's not much I can say to help with this level. In this section, you could jump, slide, jump, stomp to feel cool, and you can wall jump here, I guess. Look ahead of you at all times and pray nothing goes wrong. Release me, release me, release me, release me. Cool Edge Act 2-2 sucks. This level is just an amalgamation of assets thrown into Act 2's skeleton, and I hated it. Admittedly, I was playing for a while at that point, which made me pretty irritable, and my gameplay suffered because of it. The stage really isn't that bad, and I would definitely once again recommend you take a slow and careful first run before going all in for an S rank. It does do a good job of making you forget you're just looping around the same path by being a lot more varied in its level design compared to the original. That's the only compliment I'm giving it though. Like I've been saying, the best thing you can do is look ahead of you and anticipate what you have to do before it actually happens. I got hit a bunch of times and have been getting hit like every level, so I guess the DLC is more lenient when it comes to that, but you should still try and avoid it. S rank. Yes! Yo, I got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. What the fuck? Cool Edge Act 3 is a drifting level, but don't worry, it's nowhere near as bad. That's probably mostly because I actually maybe not fully know how to drift now. Yeah, I still flew off the stage a couple of times. The stage does repeat itself like the base game drifting stage, so just make sure you take this shortcut in these open sections every time you can. I just made sure to drift carefully, and I got my S rank. Cool Edge Act 4 is an actually interesting open-ended level. You're constantly free-falling from section to section, and I really enjoyed the freedom the stage gives you. It kind of reminds me of Sonic Frontiers, my goat. Try and aim for the paths with the rainbow rings, beat all the enemies you come across, and don't fall off. S rank. And that's it for Holoska. It's Spagonia time. Rooftop Run Act 1-2. Yeah, this one's a bit of a pain, just like the original. It isn't all too different though. You just gotta watch out for all the spikes, bullets, rockets, yeah, you get the idea. The trend I'm seeing with these remix stages is just throwing spikes everywhere and making things less fun. Try conserving your boost at the beginning of the level since you aren't given many rings. Don't boost at all on these drifting curves because of the bombs, and watch out for the many surprise rocket and bullet guys sprinkled throughout the level. A little off topic, but why is this happening? S rank.
Let's go.
No, not this shit again. No. Rooftop Run Act 2-2. I hated the base game version of this stage, so I was a little worried about what I was going to experience here. Besides the fact that I had to again lower my FPS to 30 or 60 so that the level could actually work, the stage wasn't all too bad all things considered. I can't really give any tips for this level besides how to get to this top path here. You really just have to be good at the game and take your time in some of these sections. I say all of that, but this level still took me like 40 minutes to beat. Every level I covered so far in this video had been completed in a singular 4-hour play session. So again, like Cool Edge Act 1-2, I was way too irritable at this point and was way off my game. Now I'm not trying to make excuses for my poor gameplay, but on my very first attempt the next day, after rage quitting, I finally completed the level. And you'll never guess what rank I got. S. obviously. I literally first tried the level. I literally first tried the level after hopping off and coming back on the next day. What is this? Rooftop Run Act 4 is a stupid robot simulator that makes you jump sometimes. And I'm not even exaggerating. This level wasn't hard at all. Just watch your step. There are a bunch of things to trip on or get zapped with. But other than that, easy S rank. Let's freaking go, dude. Act 5 can barely be considered a level with how easy and short it is. The level takes place entirely above a bottomless pit, but it's nothing to worry about, especially if you're following the right side of the stage, since it allows you to completely skip the level. I would have beaten this stage on my first attempt if it wasn't for yet another FPS issue that wouldn't allow me to hit the balloon at the very end of the stage. First I lowered my FPS to 60 since the Series X also runs Unleashed that way, so there's no way it wouldn't work. Wow. So if you're playing on the Series X, I guess you just can't beat the level this way. 30 FPS did the trick though. S rank. Let's go. Almost first try. And that's all for Spagonia. We're back in Shamar, and Arid Sands Act 1-2 is definitely a contender for the hardest stage in the DLC. This stage has everything I love about the DLC packed into one glorious level. Bombs constantly in your way, drifting with spikes to fall into if you fail, electric homing attack guys, annoying platforming, and hard to gauge spikes in your way at the very end of the level specifically designed to ruin your day. But to ensure your success, I've prepared some tips to share with you. Make sure you hit this ramp at the beginning without missing the stomp to hit the rail. Aim for the speed pad here, be patient with these sparkies. Hit this rink trail, go right, left, slide, and jump here. The DLCification this level took hurts my soul since it was such a good level. I seriously recommend playing it safe for the rest of the stage from here, especially in these pillar sections and at the end when you're running on the walls with these spikes. Don't forget this shortcut too, S rank. Arid Sands Act 3 has you looking for 10 chow across an open 3D sandbox level. Sounds cool, right? No, it fucking sucked. There's nothing wrong with the level itself, it just feels like such a slog to get through. Especially if you miss a chow and have to restart, like I did. The level isn't hard at all, and you really shouldn't have any issues. Just make sure to collect as many rings as you can, and you got yourself an S rank. Thank you. And that's all for Shamar. Chunan is our next continent, and I really don't want to be here. Why don't I want to be here? Well, much like Cool Edge Act 1-2, Dragon Road Act 1-2 strikes back in fuck you mode final form. The people who made this level must have been having the worst day of their lives to be able to concoct the monstrosity I had to play through. Everything in this level is built to make sure your butthole is 2 times the size it was when you started. And it makes it even funnier that the next level is just as bad. They ruined my glorious Dragon Road, they ruined it. This level requires the purest form of skill the game could ever ask for. You either eat shit or you don't. I actually can't help you with this one. Just be aware of everything that's ahead of you, especially in this water section. Hit the shortcut here, and that's all I can say. The funny thing about this stage is that I had a full hour of failed attempts, so I ended up deleting that footage to save on storage. I decided to then play the next act for a little bit to cool off, and when I was ready to record Act 1-2 again, I got the S rank on my first try. No, I did it, yo, I did it. No way the first try. I have no footage of me raging. Every bit of hatred I just spilled about Act 1-2 also applies to Act 2-2. Already the base game version of the stage was bad, but this puts it to shame. Usually, a hard level can be chalked up to a skill issue, but even that doesn't fully apply here. There are some things in this level that genuinely can't be seen coming, like having to skip this third balloon and these 2 platforms that instantly plummet you to the ground. Imagine this. You're at the very end of a long and tedious level, still going, and you see the light at the end of the tunnel. So, thinking everything was fine, you land your final jump, and you plummet into a bottomless pit at lightning speeds. What the fuck? This is another one of those levels where you should take it slow and learn how to do everything properly before even attempting an S. It still only took me about 30 minutes to beat the stage, but it felt way longer than that with the amount of mistakes I was making. S rank. Beautiful. At least. After fighting for your life for 2 stages in a row, Act 4 offers a very welcome change of pace. It's a really simple and short stage that has you platforming, wall jumping, and doing some quick time events. It's a pretty enjoyable stage and you shouldn't have any trouble. S rank. Yeah. Dragon Road Act 5 centers around looping a track 3 times, with the environment changing after each lap. Even though the environment changes each loop, I still ended up sticking to the same path. I would hit these rainbow rings here to get to more rainbow rings, then did whatever gave me the most score after, and repeat. It does get trickier to not get hit by something as you go, but it isn't all too hard. S rank. Welcome back to New York. Empire City. Skyscraper Scamper Act 1-2 feels the most like its base game counterpart out of all of the DLC stages. It is a little harder, but it still keeps its high stakes and high speed gameplay that made the original so great. I'd even argue it's better than the original. Wow, our very first improvement. The level does try to ruin your day every now and then, but I was familiar with the game's tricks by now to not fall for them. This shortcut isn't changed, just be careful with the swappy springs. Hide behind this crate to avoid the initial bullshit. Hit this crate here, stay on top here. This shortcut still applies too, and of course, be careful on the rails. S rank. Wow, I really hope the next level is just as good as this one. Surprise! I wasn't being sarcastic. Skyscraper Scamper Act 3 is also a fun level. It reminds me of Windmill Isle Act 4 with its high-speed sidestepping action. Both big and small stupid robot guys make a return, but their inclusion in this level was the only time I actually liked them. The small guys are easy, which is why they're fun, but the big guy has you running with the complete opposite camera angle, and it's really creative. You have to avoid the oncoming spike bombs along with the robot's beams, forcing you to look back and forth. This sounds like a really simple change, but it really makes a difference when you do the exact same thing with these guys every time. Just don't play like shit, collect as many rings as possible, jump over these last pins here because there are some spikes hidden behind them, and if you fall off here, make sure you hit these rings. S rank. Yeah. And that's it for Empire City. I'll miss you. Adabat is once again our last continent, and it holds the last 3 levels we need to S rank. I have a confession. I actually enjoyed Jungle Joyride Act 1-2. And I S ranked it on my second try. Yeah, I really don't know what happened. I must have been in a really good mood or something because I was playing exceptionally well in my last session. I was able to properly react to everything and not mess up. But even without that, the level is just cooler than the original. You run on the side of the waterfalls like in 06. This level is crazy. I can't even give any tips for this level. You should be good. I even had almost 1,000 rings by the end. S rank. Jungle Joyride Act 4 was also really fun. Sonic Team was cooking with the Adabat and Empire City DLC stages. This level is really simple and fun. You just boost and jump until you get to the goal. This is some pretty good shit. I kept making the same stupid mistake, but it still only took me 5 minutes to beat. That was the whole level, really? That was the whole level? Are you serious? You know what? No one's complaining. You're never going to believe it. Act 5 was also a fun level. This is actually insane. The whole level takes place on top of water, and you just run in a straight line, fight the stupid robot guys again, do a little loop, some drifting, and you're finished. Our final S rank. You know, looking back on this whole thing, I really just have to ask, why do I always put myself through these kinds of things? I take on these borderline torturous challenges that just make me angry and play poorly. But maybe that's where the meaning behind this whole thing lies. Towards the beginning of the video, I was just getting angry and wasting a bunch of attempts. I was geeked in other terms. But during the latter half, I kept my cool and my gameplay changed along with it. I was then locked in. If there's anything to take away from this video, it's that keeping a level head no matter what is what'll make or break you. Now I'd like to take this time to thank every single one of you who showed their support on the last video. It means a lot, and I hope you stick around for what's to come on this channel. Thank you. Okay, now for real, the Werehog stages are next. Thanks for watching.
I want you to subscribe. I would love it if you did. Maybe you could also leave a like. That would be really cool too. Please subscribe.